Hey, howdy, hey y'all, Leanna here. In today's video, I'm going to be trying out a new to me foundation. It is the L'Oreal True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum foundation. This foundation came out 7 or 8 months ago, I believe. Those of you that have been watching my channel for a while know that I absolutely love my powdered foundations. I am trying to find a liquid foundation that I like. So far, my Holy Grail liquid foundation is the number 7 foundation. I believe that I heard that that is being discontinued and they have put out a new foundation in that line. So I heard that this was a really good foundation. I kind of like the serum foundations. They work a little bit better for me since I have fine lines and wrinkles and some texture on my face. So we're going to try this out today and see how it does. So I'm going to pull my hair back out of the way. So the website claims that this is the first tinted serum with 1% hyaluronic acid, and it is supposed to instantly make your skin look bright, even, and feel hydrated. The hyaluronic acid gives skin a hydrated feel, smooths over time. Its luminous mineral pigments brighten complexion, and they have 14 radiant shades to match a variety of skin tone. So with it saying that it's supposed to smooth over time, I would assume that this would be like a skincare product, and it is supposed to help you the more you use it. I am going to use my e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer because I know how this performs on my skin and with most of my foundations, even my powdered foundation. I'm going to use the little e.l.f. brush that goes along with it. Now I do put a lot of primer, as you can see, on my skin because I like for my foundation to sit on top of my primer and not on top of my skin. And this primer really helps to blur your pores and give you a flawless application. So now that my foundation is on, my skin feels nice and hydrated. That e.l.f. primer to me feels very hydrating. And now I'm going to take my Becca Under Eye Anti-Fatigue Primer, and I'm going to put a little bit of that under my eyes because I have wrinkles and texture under my eyes, and that's normally where I find I have the most trouble from any type of foundation. I don't know what I'm going to do when this runs out. I'll have to conjure up some other product. And I'm going to use this sponge. I don't know where I got this, maybe in a Macy's box, but it is super soft. I love it. I will have everything linked down in the description box. Okay, so now I'm going to take this. The only thing that I really don't like about the packaging is that when you take the dropper in and out, you bump it up against the sides of the opening of the bottle and it makes a little bit of a mess. So I'm going to drop some of that on the back of my hand. You can see it's very liquidy, but I like to kind of warm it up on the back of my hand before I start to apply. And then I'm just going to dip my sponge and start to apply. This feels and looks comparable to the number 7 foundation. And I'm not using any concealer with this. I don't normally use concealer. You see that little blood vessel right there? It's not doing a bad job of covering that up. Of course, I like for my skin to look like skin. I am not a full coverage girl by any means. So I have gotten all of that off the back of my hand. And this is what it looks like so far. It does look nice and hydrating. It feels very good on the skin, very light. I'm going to give it just a few minutes and see how it dries down before I set it, or I might attempt to put a second coat on to see how it builds. Okay, just for kicks and giggles, I waited about 5 minutes just to see what would happen. It still feels just a little bit tacky, but normally I have to set things right away so that they do not crease, and I do not see any creasing. Normally I will have some creasing here underneath my eyes, or right here around my mouth. Even in the wrinkles in my forehead, I have nothing. There is no creasing whatsoever. So let's put on a second coat just to see if it's buildable. I'm going to put some more on my hand, just as much as I did the first time, as you can see. And we're going to see if we can get it to build up and what that does. Get my hair out the way. This does not, sometimes these can have a little bit of a chemical smell to them, but it does not have a chemical smell to it at all. That looks like it's building up to me, and it looks very blurred right there. So I would say this is definitely buildable. This is a really good color match for me too, which normally I struggle with. Just gonna add what's left. So that was 2 full droppers, as I put the first full dropper on the first time. And then a second full dropper. And I would say that that looks pretty good. Even under my eyes, it looks really nice. It does not feel heavy at all. It feels very moisturizing. And you can still see my little blood vessel there. But like I said, I like for my skin to look like skin. So, I must say that so far I'm impressed. I'm not going to wait for that to dry down, because I don't know if having 2 coats will cause it to crease. I'm going to go ahead and set it down. My favorite setting powder is the Fenty Pro FILT'R Lavender, and I just put it in this little bowl from the Dollar Tree because it just makes it a little bit easier for me to get in there with my brush than using the cap and making a mess and getting it all over the place. To me, right in there looks blurred. And it does not look dry under my eye. To make sure that it doesn't crease under my eye, I am going to pull my skin a little bit so that I can get the powder down into those creases to make sure that I don't have any creasing. And again, on this side, I'm going to make sure that I get setting powder into those creases around my eye. And just really buff that powder in. Okay, so this is what it looks like after applying the setting powder. I do not feel that it is showing the texture on my skin. It's not enhancing it anyway. I think that looks pretty good. That is really a good match. So I'm going to put on my bronzer and some blush, and then I will come back and set it and show you how I finish my foundation off to make it look a little bit better and last a little bit longer. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have put on my blush and my bronzer and a little bit of highlight. And now what I like to do, I always put my base on before I do my eyeshadows. A little bit backwards from what everybody else does, but I'm a backwards kind of gal. So I'm going to use my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, and I'm going to spray my face. I am very generous with my setting spray, especially when it's such a fine mist. And then I'm going to take this handy dandy specialized tool here, and I'm going to fan it to help it dry down. And then when it is mostly dry, I'm going to spray a little bit of this in my hand, just a little bit, you don't need a whole lot. And I'm going to wet my sponge with it, just a little bit. The sponge is already damp, I just want to put a little bit of setting spray in it. And then I'm going to press down. This will help to set that into the skin. And especially in places where it might possibly crease, which will be in the lines here in my forehead, around my nose, and right here. These little bitty lines here around my mouth is where I will have some creasing. And then, because I'm extra, once that is completely dry, I am going to set it down again with my powder. This really helps my foundation to last a very long time. And sometimes your setting sprays can leave your skin feeling a little tacky, and I don't like how that feels, so this just helps to get rid of that tacky feeling too. And I don't use a lot of setting powder, just a little bit. And I'm really buffing that in. And then my final step is I will go back in with my sponge just to make sure that my skin does not look powdery. This will just knock off that powdery look. And that is how I do my foundation. And as you can see, the blood vessel is still a little bit visible, but it has really dulled that down so that you can't see it very well. So this is what the foundation looks like at this point. So I'm going to complete the rest of my makeup, do my eyes, do my lip, and then I will do a wear test and I will come back and let you know the results. Okay, so as you can see, it's 10:31 p.m. I put this foundation on about 2 o'clock. I have since done a video where I put some makeup on. I'll link that up in the iCard in case you're interested in how I achieve this eye look that's so colorful. But here's what the makeup looks like. Let's see if I can zoom you in. I have just a little bit of creasing around my mouth and those lines where I normally get it. Just a little bit here. I have not touched it up. My forehead looks good. Normally in these creases I'll have a lot of creasing. I have not powdered or done anything to it, so in my mind it still looks really good. That's 8.5 hours, which is where I would be at work, so I think it did really, really well. I'm impressed with it. This did just as well to me as the number 7. I have the new number 7. I will be doing a review of that, but I think I'm going to do a side-by-side test, and we'll do a wear test on that and see how it performs. If you enjoyed my video, show that like button some love. And as always, I'd like to remind you that makeup is meant to enhance the natural beauty that you already are. And we are all beautiful at any age. Find something to be grateful for today. Pull your makeup out and play with it. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye. Christopher, what crazy thing am I going to tell you about serum foundation that has hyaluronic acid in it, which keeps your face very moist, which you need if you're going fishing, because you know you're out in the hot sun. Your beauty tip is to make sure, even with this, that you wear your sunscreen, okay? Mama loves you, boo.